Hello, my name is John McGrath and welcome once again to the shed. Now, I have to apologise to all you guys who follow this channel. I haven't been able to make a video in a long time. I haven't been able to actually get into this shed. It's been full to the gunnels and I've been flat out with work. But good news, I'm currently building a new workshop just over there. So as soon as that's up and running, I'll be able to get some more regular videos, some bigger projects, as I have a nice workspace. It's going to be a lot bigger than this little shed. So we have that to look forward to. But for now, I want to do a video on how I sharpen my chisels. I need to sharpen this chisel for a little job that I'm doing, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to show you guys once again the Veritas Deluxe Honing Guide system. I've done a video on that before where I sharpened a plain blade. Now I'm going to sharpen a chisel. I want to show you the other clamp and roller that I didn't use in the last video. So yeah, let's get set up. Let's get sharpening this chisel, and enough of me talking. Let's do it. Okay, hopefully the camera is in a position where you'll be able to see this. Again, I'm limited to what I can do in this shed. It's just packed out in here. I can barely swing a cat. So we're going to have to make do with this. So just to quickly go over it again, this is the Veritas MKII Honing Guide system. This is the deluxe system. Apologies for the shine there now. I went with the deluxe system simply because it comes with the extra set of clamp and rollers, which will, it's specifically designed to work with your chisels. They originally brought out the flat clamp, which is great for plain blades, but not so good for chisels. I'll show you that now. So here is the flat clamp. As you can see, it clamps along the blade here. The trouble with that is when you put the chisel in it and you clamp it down, the chisel, there we go, let's get this in. The chisel can do this inside it, alright? It can move left to right, which means you won't be sharpening square along your edge, which is no good really. So what Veritas did was they brought out a second clamp system. Here we go there. You can see that, and it clamps on the side of the chisel. And the beauty about these two clamps is they're on the one screw, so they will always meet in the middle. So when you clamp, you're already dead center when you're setting this thing up. And it also comes with a flat roller. Now the rollers are interchangeable between the two clamps, so you can have the flat roller for your plain blade. You can put the camber roller on this. Not that you'd need to put a cambered edge on your chisel really for any reason, but you can put a cambered edge on your plain blades, which is what I do, or if you don't want a cambered edge, you can actually swap the rollers. Alright, so it's a handy system. If you're going to spend the money, spend a little bit extra and get the two of them together, so you can do both your planes and your chisels. Right, as for the chisel then, this is just a rough work chisel I have. It's just a Stanley, focus camera, it's just a simple Stanley 1-inch chisel, a 25mm chisel. Again, apologies for the shine, and this camera just will not focus. What is up with it? There we go. So you can see the edge is not sharp at all. Again, focus please, camera. It's not sharp, it's full of dents. I've been kind of doing a bit of rough work with it, and I'm going to do some more rough work with it now, but I want to put an edge on it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set my primary bevel, and then I'm going to put a secondary bevel on it. Now the reason I'm putting a secondary bevel on it is I don't want to, every time I have to sharpen my chisels, to sharpen the entire primary bevel. So we'll put a 25-degree primary on it, I'll put a 30-degree secondary on it, so it'll just be the bare edge, so that's all I ever have to sharpen when I come back to this chisel. Right, it just makes sharpening quicker. So the first time you sharpen anything, it's a little bit slower, and then from there on, it's a little bit easier. Right, okay, let's get this thing set up in the clamp. Right, okay. Right, we'll just run through this quickly again, just how we set this thing up. So the Veritas clamps, they come with this fence. As you can see there, it has high angles, standard angles, and back bevels. You just move this guy to whatever angle you want. We're just going to be sticking with the standard angles. It's already set to the 25 degrees, which is what we want. 99% of chisels will have a primary grind of 25 degrees, and maybe, if you wish to put a secondary bevel on it, maybe up as high as 30 degrees, or maybe a little bit more. Depends on what you like. So we have it just set to 25 degrees standard angle. So we get our chisel into our guide now. So very simple. That's not the chisel we want. This is the chisel we want. The other one is already sharp. So I'm going to slide that in. If you can see it there. Tighten down our clamps. Not all the way, because I want to be able to move this back and forward. Because these, as I say, these two clamps are on the same screw, they always meet in the middle. So whatever size chisel they catch, it'll always be centered. Right. So then we slide on our fence. slide our chisel up to the edge of the fence so that it's nice and square. That's this edge here. Tighten it down. So that's our fence on. Now what I'm going to do is move our chisel all the way up to our stop, which is here. And we're not too far off it, so I'll just slide it up, make sure it's nice and square. So we have along this edge, if we keep it tight to this edge, we ensure that we're square. And once we hit that, we now know we're set at 25 degrees. So very simple, very repeatable. That's why I like this system. There's no it takes the guesswork completely out of it. And drop the screws on the floor. Anyway, there we go. We're set up now and we're ready to start sharpening. So let's do that. Right, when it comes to sharpening, just get yourself a little tray. It's a messy process when you're using water and stuff, and there's a lot of material you remove from your plane blades, a lot of grit and metal. It can destroy your workbench, so just have a piece of plastic. This is just a box off a lid, or a lid off a box, I should say, that I have under it just to catch all the gunk in the water. So I'll be using a diamond plate. Again, this is an inexpensive diamond plate. It's from Faithful Tools. Camera, please focus. There we go, Faithful Tools. This is 1000 grit on one side and it's a 400 grit on the other side. So we're going to start on the 400 grit and we're going to set our primary bevel. Again, this is just soapy water. Give it a good wet down. The only reason we do this is it's to keep the material that we remove from the blade floating and it doesn't go stick in the grit to clog up our plate, and it'll stop cutting if we do that. So this just keeps the material floating and keeps a good cutting surface. So to start with, I'm going to move back and forward just because I have to remove a lot of material just to get out to the edge. Once I get out to my edge, then when I'm setting my secondary bevel, it's only going to be backstrokes only. Alright, so I'll show you all this as we go. So nice and simple. We rest our two thumbs in here. There's kind of a little shelf back here, and then we just want to keep an even pressure if you can. You can end up pushing down on one side more than the other, and you can skew your grind a little bit. So just keep an even light pressure. Nice and simple. Nothing to it really. We're going to work this back and forward. Now, like I say, most chisels are already set to 25 degrees, so I'm hoping we don't have to remove too much material. This is the first time I've actually sharpened this chisel. Again, it's just a rough work chisel. Let's take a quick look at that now. So check this out. Let's see if that... So you can see where I'm starting to remove the material. It's all in one bloody camera focus. It's all in one corner, right? Which tells me this isn't not actually ground perfectly flat. Now I'm only removing a very small amount of material, but it's starting in this corner first. It'll probably end up coming this way next, and then meet in the middle. So it's not perfectly flat. Again, they're inexpensive chisels, so I don't expect them to be engineered perfect out of the box. But we shall grind this flat. A quick look at that. So you can see where this is starting to remove material from. So we got to get that all the way to here, and you can see it's taking this corner off first, which tells me this side of the blade was actually quite high compared to the rest of it. Okay, so we're going to keep working that now. So check this out again. Hopefully the camera can see that. I'm almost across. I'm kind of sorry I started this now because I have to grind the entire primary bevel from this corner to this corner, and you can see it's moving from this corner across. When this was originally ground, it wasn't ground square, so it was higher this way, so it was probably askew when it was being ground. So again, it's a relatively inexpensive chisel. I wouldn't expect too much more, but I thought it'd be a little bit flatter than that. But lesson learned. Okay, well, we've started now, so we better finish. Okay. For the sake of expediency, I'm actually going to stop there because I'll show you now. Okay, let's see, where's our grind? Okay, so you can see I still have up this corner here, but that's nothing to do with my cutting surface. and by the time I remove the edge all the way back to here, it'll be time for a new chisel anyway. So from here to here, I'm perfectly flat. Hopefully you can see that with the grind. So I don't need to worry about this back corner. If I was being a bit more pedantic, I would grind it all the way back to there, but I have a job I got to go do with this chisel, so I want to get it as sharp as quick as I can. And like I say, by the time I remove all the material back to here from use on this chisel, it'll be time for a new chisel anyway, so it's not really going to affect me. Once I have a nice square edge to work to, that's fine. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move to all backstrokes. I have a burr the whole way across the back of this chisel, so I'm out to the edge there. If you might just be able to see that burr there, look, it's all the way across the edge. So I'm going to use all backstrokes from here, so I'm just going to give it a run now on the 1000 grit with backstrokes, and then I'm going to switch to putting a secondary bevel on this. Alright, let's do that. I'm just lifting the chisel up, moving out, drop it down, and just starting to work all backstrokes from here. The reason I'm doing this is I just don't want to damage the edge now that I'm all the way to the edge. Going forwards and backwards is fine when you have a lot of material to remove, and yeah, so it's just all backstrokes from here. Okay, that should be good enough. Okay. So now it's time to put our secondary bevel, and I'm not going to put much, or actually I might put a slightly wide secondary bevel on it, just so you guys can see it, just so it'll show up on the camera that bit better. You'll be able to see the contrast between the secondary and the primary. Normally I'd only put a bare millimeter of secondary bevel, because that's all I want to be sharpening, but I'll go a little bit further on this. Now, so the beauty of the Veritas system is, as you can see, we have this little wheel on the side here. The notch is at 12 o'clock. If I rotate this, I add an extra 5 degrees, so I'll rotate it from 12 to 6 o'clock. That'll give me an extra, it drops the roller down slightly, which gives me an extra little bit of a tilt, and I can work my primary bevel without having to reset with the fence or anything like that. So literally just pull this guy out, rotate him down to 6 o'clock, just like that. That's dropped the roller down slightly, and it's going to angle up the chisel. Okay, so let's do that. So it's just going to be nice and light now. Okay, so let's see if we can see that. So you can see I've just added a secondary bevel. I've made it a little bit bigger than I normally would. It usually would just be straight across the top. And you can see just where I'm applying different bits of pressure. That's my own poor technique. But you can see just by applying slight little bit of different pressure, you can grind a little bit more on this side, a little bit more on this side. But as long as you're square the whole way across, that's what's important. But you can see just by the pressure of your finger, you can be working this side a little bit more than the other. But that's just something to bear in mind, alright? If the camera will focus, hopefully you guys can see that there. Sorry about this camera now, guys, for fucking hell. There we go. Right, okay. Now we're going to move to our water stone. I'm just going to finish on an 8000 grit water stone. I have it soaking there. Just mind the tip of that thing. Move him to one side. Now, the thing about water stones, if you're going to use water stones, you will remove a lot of material from them, so you have to keep them square and true and flat. They can bow and cup. If you're working in the center a lot more, you'll scoop them out. So you will need a diamond plate. You know your diamond plate is flat, so what you're going to do is just take this guy, give him a quick run on this. And once you're removing material from edge to edge and from edge to edge, you know that this is a flat surface. So that's very important, guys, alright? Again, it's just going to be a couple of strokes on this. You can then go to a leather strop and finish up if you really want razor sharp. I don't need razor sharp. I just need sharp enough because this is going to get hammered on. It's just a rough work chisel, but I thought it'd be a good video just to show you guys how to sharpen chisels. Okay, so this is just going to be all backstrokes again. Nice and light. Okay, that should do. Now I just want to get this burr off the back. Keep that nice and wet. So I'm just going to place the chisel nice and flat, very, very gently on this guy, and just pull back ever so slightly. I don't want to damage my tip. I just want to try and get that burr off the back of the cutting edge. I don't want to do too much. We will remove it with use anyway, so let's have a look at that there. So you can see we have a primary bevel and we have our secondary bevel across here. Again, I've made that a little bit bigger than I normally would, just so the camera can pick it up. But just interestingly, you can see as I was grinding this flat at 25 degrees, just how off it was from the factory. So it was just skewed. So when this was going into the jig or whatever they use to grind these, it was just a little bit askew. So just bear that in mind. But as long as you have a square edge from here to here, you're good. You don't have to worry about back here, okay? You're not cutting with that surface. This just needs to be flat and true, and so does your edge to edge. Okay, so let's check it out now. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. Okay, just a quick paper cut test. This is where you fall flat in your face on camera. There we go. Okay, that's pretty sharp. That's sharp enough to go hammer on. So there we go, guys. One sharpened chisel. That's how I do it. So hopefully this has been helpful. Right, guys, there we go. That's how I sharpen my chisels. Hopefully this video has been of some use to you and it made a modicum of sense. Like I say, I apologise for the camera angles and stuff like that, but I can't swing a cat in here right now. Like I say, my new workshop is under construction. That should be up in a few weeks' time, so I'll show you that. I'll have loads of room to make videos and get shots of what I'm going to do. I better do bigger projects, so it's going to be pretty cool. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, that's been me. I've been John McGrath. This is Chisel Sharpening with the Veritas Deluxe Honing Guide system. I recommend it. It's nice and simple. There's many ways to sharpen your chisels. This is just one way of doing it. It's not gospel, so do what works for you. But if you want to check that out, I do recommend it. Now, I gotta go back to work and use this bloody thing. So I'll talk to you later.